I'm Nandini and I'm a professional makeup artist and I've filmed this tutorial for you all. This is glam makeup but I've made it desi. So if you want to know how to do that for upcoming weddings and parties and all, you can keep watching. I always start with the kajal pencil as my first step because this always lets me know if someone's eyes are very sensitive and they're gonna get teary or not. Sometimes your client's eye will tend to get watery if you apply something in their waterline, so it's always best to know before you start all the makeup. When I am applying kajal in her eye, I ask her to look to the opposite side of where I am applying the kajal. This will help her to feel more relaxed during the process because it really irritates the eye when the kohl pencil or the kajal pencil is right near the pupil. So, whenever you have a client with sensitive eyes, always ask them to look to the opposite side of wherever you are applying the kajal. After that, I am starting with the eyes. I'm using a concealer as an eye base. I'm using the shade Butterscotch by Too Faced. I also take the concealer right below her brow bone because this I will use this concealer later on as a highlighting concealer. After applying the concealer, I just tap it gently into the skin to make sure there are no streak marks or excess deposit in any area and evening it out. And after that, I set it with a banana powder by Krylon. Now the base for our eyeshadow is ready. For eyeshadow, I just start with a transition shade which is closer to her skin tone. I use this to trace out the shape of the eyelid. You can see the motion of my brush. I am placing it in the corner of the eye and then doing the windshield motion to deposit it and trace out the eyelid. I do this few more times to get my desired intensity of the color. You can see the slight effect of the eyeshadow and how it has shaped the eyelid here. And then we are gonna go with the deeper shade. Here as well I'm just using a brown shade only, but in a deeper color to trace out the eye again, and I'm just placing it slightly under the transition shade. You can see I'm repeating the same motion as the color before. Instead of loading a lot of product in my brush, I go in again and again and again with the product so there are no streak marks or it's not patchy. Now, after that, I'm using a golden shimmery shade on the tip of my finger to deposit it on the lid. I'm using my finger because it will give me more control. Plus, I find this to be the best way to deposit shimmers on the lid. You can see I'm using my ring finger here to ensure that I use minimal pressure. Then just going in with a clean brush to diffuse any harsh line that shimmer might have created. I was still not happy with the intensity of color on the eyes, so I decided to go in with a deep burgundy shade to trace out the eye again. I am using this shade closely to where I deposited the shimmer on the outer crease. Also bringing this in from the outer V to the upper lash line a bit. For that I take a pencil brush and trace out her upper lash line with a deeper shade. Here I am using a deep brown shade to do that. Again repeating the same process on the other eye. Now I just take a clean eyeshadow brush to diffuse any harsh lines near the eyebrow. I go in again with the burgundy shade to build even more intensity, because sometimes you see the entire look and you get to know if you need to correct something. In this case, I build it again. For eyeliner, I just use a size 0 painting brush because that is the smallest detailing brush I could find. I just took some gel pot liner on my brush and I'm taking it extremely close to the lash line and really making a thin line there. The reason I'm doing a thin eyeliner is because I really want to elongate the eyes. In the outer corner, I decided to make a really small wing because that's what would suit Shrija's eye shape best. To perfect the angle of the wing, I asked Shrija to look straight ahead while I make it. I repeated the same process on the other eye. To make it look even more sharp, I took some micellar water on a clean Q-tip and just cleaned the edge of the wing. Now as a topper, I am using a highlighter by MAC and placing it on the center of the lids. This helps to make the gold look even more bright. Now I move on to the base. As you know, even in my previous videos I have talked about cleaning the under eye area after I have done the eyeshadow. I just took a makeup remover wipe by Lacto Calamine and I'm just wiping the under eye area and making sure there is no fallout left. Now I'm again using emollient on the under eye area because we might have taken some hydration away when we wiped it. I make sure to take it on the under eye area as well. For primer, I am using the MAC Studio Radiance. I really like this primer because it contains hyaluronic acid and glycerin, which provides moisture to the skin. At the same time, it makes the skin sticky, which ensures that all of our base products would stick well to the skin. To shade match, I put some foundation on Shrija's jawline and also on her chest. In Shrija's case, the outer side of her face is a different color and the inner part of her face matches the rest of her body. So for that I'm using NC42, which is a bit lighter shade, on the center of her face, and for the outer part I'm gonna be using NC45, which is a bit deeper. Sometimes if you're not able to figure out the exact shade for a client, a model, or even for yourself, because different areas of their face has different colors, it's okay to use 2 or 3 shades of foundations. It's not a rule of thumb that you have to use a single foundation. Use what suits the skin best. Again, now going in with my deeper foundation in the outer parts of the face. how perfect of a shade match that is on her forehead. Going all over on the face with a beauty blender to make the transition between the shades seamless, making sure both of the foundation shades blend well into each other. Now for contour, I am using a cream concealer by NYX. I am going in a C shape on the temples and the cheekbone, also bringing it on the jawline. I do not contour on the forehead because there is no need for it. Always customize how you contour according to the face shape. Just blending that all upwards. Now the base is starting to come together. You can see how the contour slightly lifted her face. To conceal her under eyes, I am going in with the exact match as her skin tone. Here I have mixed two concealers to achieve a perfect shade, that is Almonds by NARS and Butterscotch by Too Faced. After concealer, I go in with my cream blush. I am using Rosewood by Simply Naam. I tap it on the face in an upward motion because I want the face to look lifted. I use my fingers to blend it well into the skin and repeat the process on the other side as well. I put some on the bridge of the nose as well for that sun-kissed look. Now to highlight her face, I am using Butterscotch by Too Faced. I place that in an inverted triangle shape, making sure I apply it right below the wing as well to make it look even sharper. Then I repeat the process on the other eye as well. I also apply this concealer on the bridge of her nose, the tip of her nose, and the center of her forehead and her chin. Also right below we contour to clean it up. To blend it, I am using a damp powder puff instead of my fingers or a beauty blender because this won't pick too much product up like a beauty blender. At the same time, when you blend it with a powder puff, it gives you a soft filter like blurring effect. The coverage is still there, but at the same time it blends the harsh line. You can see the difference. The coverage is very much still there, but it is blended in such a way that the entire things looked blurred. I'm just going in with the tapping motion with the powder puff as well. Taking the brush from which we contoured and placing it right above the highlighting shade. Now to set the base, I am using loose banana powder by Krylon. I take some on my brush and initially I go under the eyes where the most coverage is, because you want to make sure that the layers of concealers don't move. So you put the most amount of powder right there. For the rest of the face, I just take whatever is left and brush it on the face. Now to highlight, I am using Hey Honey by Nude Sticks. It is a cream highlighter, but I put it after the powder because this highlighter has a tendency to move. So on a dry base, it sticks better. Again, taking it on the cheekbones, under the brow bone, the tip of the nose, the bridge of the nose, and the cupid's bow. Just look at that glow. Now for powder blush, I have used a blush palette by PAC. I really like this blush brush. This is by Elf Cosmetics. It is tapered enough to help me get into that area. At the same time, it's really fluffy. So it's not too big that the blush gets spread over all over the face. I apply the blush in an upwards motion only here. You can see while applying the blush, it gets a little bit under the eye as well. That is okay because it helps me to color correct that olive undertone. Now I am reapplying the kajal because with time we lost some of that intensity. After that, I take some deeper brown shade from earlier on a pencil brush and go under the eye. Then I take the burgundy shade that we used earlier on the eye on a flat brush and place it again on the lower lash line. Because we are gonna build the same layers that we built on the top of the eyelid. You can see how much better the eyes look after that. For the inner corner, I am just using a champagne shade on a small pencil brush. Just going in with my powder brush from earlier and brushing everything off the face in case there was any fallout. I'm using the setting spray by Charlotte Tilbury. I really like this setting spray because it gives the face hydration at the same time it locks the makeup. And Shrija just curled her own eyelashes. After that, I measured the eyelashes. I place them on her face only to check the length and then trim them accordingly. Here after trimming them, I'm measuring them again. I'm using a transparent glue by Sephora. After it dries down, it completely disappears, making sure to secure the outer and the inner corner. With a clean spoolie, I'm brushing the eyebrows up to check where I need to fill them. I'm going in with an angled brush. Honestly, I don't really shape the eyebrows much. I just fill them accordingly and see if there are any sparse areas and fill them as well. Because our eyes are already heavy, so we don't want to overdo the brows. After that, I set the eyebrows with the Brow Freeze Gel by ABH. To clean the brows, I am just using the concealer brush from earlier. I am not taking any more concealer, just whatever is left on the brush. Khadija lined her own lips by a lip liner by Mars Beauty. Again, cleaning if there are any, harsh lines or, the lip liner got outside. Just cleaning that up with a concealer brush again. Was not a big fan of the shade earlier, so here I used a Rust shade by Kiko Milano, and here is the final look. I hope you like this tutorial. If you want to see more, follow and subscribe, and let me know down in the comments what would you like to see next.